Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the SpyParty Winter Cup cast for oh my gosh, it's March already. March 6th, 2022. I'm your host, Lieutenant Hummus. I am joined with two capable hosts, Ponoob and Taboshi. Why don't you two say hello?
Where does the time go? How is it March already?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's March 2022.
Yeah, despite that, we're still going to be calling it Winter Cup.
It's Winter Cup,
as we're approaching spring.
And
I mean, it's still winter where I am.
It's a nice sunny day in Seattle, so what can I say? We have two matches for you today. We're starting off with Rov versus Lev. They're both semifinal matches, if I remember correctly. And then for the other one, we have Legorv versus Opie Rights. Yes?
Correct.
Yep. Excellent. Well, I'll let you two take it away. I'm going to push some buttons and hopefully not screw it up.
You do that, Hummus. Perfect. So we're going to be starting off with Rov versus Lev TROTSKIJ as a semi-final match here for our Winter Cup 2021, despite the fact that it's barely winter and it's definitely not 2021. Both these players, as a result of being here, have played well. This is the semi-finals. They've gone through groups and they've gone through multiple matches in the bracket. The winner of this will get to go to the final. Tobo, have you had a chance to cast either of these players' matches recently or catch an eye on them?
I don't believe I've been able to... Honestly, I haven't been able to do much casting in the Winter Cup, but it's always fun to see what kind of shenaniganry gets down in these relatively short seasonal cups for SpyParty. Let's be honest, everything for SpyParty takes way longer than you expect it to.
Yeah, Summer Cup doesn't start until summer is almost ending. Winter Cup here in March. Both these players have been sniping their opponents consistently. Rov, for his whole lifetime in the SpyParty career. Lev, I'd say, is probably the underdog. If you look at Rov, Legorv, and Opie Rights here, Legorv and Opie Rights being our other match here today, Lev is definitely the one who's snuck in. That doesn't necessarily mean much here. They've played incredibly well to get to this point, and they definitely can give Rov a bit of trouble. They were in the same division in SCL 6, and Rov did win that match 7-3. And I believe that's the only time they've played in competitive. Hummus, if you want to get us the picks and bans up on screen, that would be fantastic. With Winter Cup, it's a bit of a format. You're not picking individual maps, you're picking a selection of maps. And
yeah, you're picking from a bunch of different pools of venues, and then each player will ban one venue from one of the pools, and then you just play in order.
It would help if I unmuted myself, huh? So
Oh
no! So this is a brand new computer. I basically don't have anything set up. So I actually I don't have the picks and bans in front of me, unfortunately. But
we'll go through them verbally.
Okay. Cool.
So looking at it, Lev won the coin flip. A good start for Lev. Rov chose Comfy Classics, which is going to involve maps that are classics, maps that were some of the originals from old art. And Lev picked Taking Shots, which is going to be a lot of bar venues. After the banning of Terrace and an expected ban of Balcony, we are left with doubled Ballroom as Rov's pick. Lev doubled Redwoods, so we're going to see a lot of trees there. And then we're going to continue on with Ballroom, Pub, Courtyard, and potentially some Aquarium, Veranda, and some even more Redwoods because it's doubled right at the end. To note, we are going to be playing Rov's maps first, so there might be a small advantage there. But if we get to the end of this, we will see all the maps and potentially even overtime. If these players could be quite similar in skill and can definitely result in a lot of sniper wins. Our first map, though, is going to be Ballroom.
Yeah, we will cross the overtime bridge if and when we get to it. But before that, we have an entire match. Is it back? Did we fix it?
Keep on saying
yes, we're back.
Incredibly important and useful things. That
yeah, no, we're good. Everything's fine. I am definitely a professional. Sorry about that, everyone. All right, now we'll shut up. The hard part's over, and now we just have to hit play at the right time. All right.
These things happen. No worries. Well, recap for everyone who's just showing up.
Lev is good at SpyParty. Rob is very good at SpyParty. They picked some maps, but we're starting off with 4 games of Ballroom, and Lev is the spy.
Semifinals of the Winter Cup. Let's get this thing underway in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, starting off with Kane here, traditionally considered for their bug, but generally also a very stylish character in their own right. Almost every single character just not in conversation. A lot of them at windows, and instead we're purloining immediately, actually. Wow.
Yeah, that's a very unusual start from the party and from Lev TROTSKIJ as well. That's not much of a reject chain already been taken.
And Rob is completely on that, so we see the highlight on the spy, which is never a good thing after you've been purloined. But they also confirmed for us that the fade was seen, because Twin, who took the drink, should usually be considered of a higher suspicion, but they've been immediately low-lit.
2 partygoers highlights. There's now that there's been a bit of a delay, we're getting a whole bunch of other lowlights. So chances are, it really is just down to 2.
Yeah, a bit suspicious of Rocker here, but very confident that it's either a chaos from Rocker or just the very much seen reject. I think this was from the spy side because everybody was at windows, felt like the purloin might not be being seen. But because everybody was not in conversations, there wasn't much occlusion, and Rob prepared for this first game. Not cheese, but like cheesy adjacent play here from Lev is completely on it. I imagine that we're going to do something like a bug across the party here and get shot for here shortly, but we do have a book in hand.
A nice little move from Lev getting the contact with the other purloiner in the same conversation as us, but in all honesty, there's every indication that it is simply not going to matter. It is just a matter of, are either of these people going to do any missions, and how quickly are they going to get shot for them?
Yeah, so our true hope here is that Rocker goes to middle statues, right? So they can be considered that they might have Flirt, Contact, Purloin, and then a 4th mission. That path's not pretty. Instead, they're holding a book, and we're holding a book, so neither the spy or the potential person who might be shot were able to even go to statues because of the book. Now there's a small chance here that Rocker could go to statues and could particularly go to the middle statue.
And with less than a minute to play, there's going to have to be quite a lot of suspicious behavior if we're going to get a shot.
Yeah, an awkward path there where we went in front of Boots. AI will typically not walk right in front of an AI or another character across the face of them, but we did not want to go straight through the ambassador, and it felt like that was the path that an AI would have taken. It's just, we kind of feel like a spy, and if we go to middle statues here, nope, we're going to go to windows, 20 seconds left.
This is going to be a long wait at this window if we're going to try to get a green timeout off of it.
Yeah, Rocker has been to the green bookcase, but Rob can just stare down. He has nothing else to watch here at the end of this time to make sure that Rocker, who's never going to microfilm, she's an AI, it's not possible for her to do. But can just make sure that Rocker isn't microfilming and comfortably takes this game in. Rob probably a bit more stressed than we were saying. Obviously, if you aren't 100% sure in the Purloin, you might still be watching things like lowlights. But obviously confident he took the lowlights for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a bold opener from Lev, but didn't wind up working out, and Rov did a fantastic job of not only reacting to the Purloin itself, but holding his nerve throughout the rest of the game. That will put him up 1-0 going into the next against Lev's Sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Interestingly, Rob saying in chat that Rocker was also collecting prints. So that hold was in part because she couldn't be considered having Flirt. She was outside of conversations a lot. She wasn't really talking when she was in conversation, so I could see it. But if that's the case, that she did actually collect prints there, an incredibly more impressive hold than we were first implying. Now we have Rob on the spy side, and they have a drink in hand. They're not going to be doing an immediate purloin. Not that that's necessarily Rob's style. Rob is pretty measured when they play their spy.
Yeah, just opening up with that quick 34% on the flirt. Didn't hit the green test on it, but that's certainly not going to be a big deal early on in Ballroom. Also in conversation with a double agent, so we might be able to get something there.
Yeah, one thing that Rob is going to be wanting, both in this game but throughout the match, is AIs who are doing things, and Queen going to these back middle statues early does give a potential frame target or someone who might just get shot if circumstances go awry.
And yeah, the AI that aren't actively in conversation do seem to be doing a good job of doing things. Here's a second flirt coming off at Windows. This one is a close green, which brings us up to 85% on the flirt. So one more will get that done with still 2 minutes and 5 to play.
You gotta look around if you're Rob and figure out what's the game plan. Obviously, finishing flirt is going to be helpful, but we still need to do 3 more missions if we're going to complete missions. And Lev is not a sort of player that you want to be relying on a civilian shot, especially when they're showing such form as to be able to get to the semifinals of Winter Cup here.
There's the flirt getting done, although I'm a little bit surprised we're beelining the flirt like this without sprinkling in some other progress here and there. Now we've got 1 minute and 35 to figure out 3 more missions, and we don't have this flirt to use as a buffer between them. Oh, hello, Ambassador. This could be interesting.
Yeah, we still had the drink in hand. Now we're going to do what's called a twitch bug. The bug is considered that we were actually walking when we did it, despite the fact from the sniper side it might not look like they were walking. It kind of hides the animation, and I think it has resulted in Rob getting away with the bug entirely.
Pretty nice bug with a lot of cover from the conversation. Winds up getting off nice and clean. Now in the green bookcase to pick up a first print. With 1 minute to play, we might not be able to have time to find a second. We're still in pretty good shape to get these missions done, mind you.
Yeah, the conversations are pretty full. The only unfortunate thing here is the SDA, the suspected double agent, was outside of conversation. So the only people who could actually really be considered to have the contact double agent or banana bread done are us, Rocker, and Twin, who are in that conversation. But we only need 1 more print, and if we can just hang out near the ambassador, it's fairly likely that they'll drop that briefcase. And there they do it. Once the ambassador moves, I can't imagine there's any other plan other than for Rob to go grab the briefcase. There might also be a print on this drink. Oh, that's even easier.
There is indeed a difficult print on the drink, but he's not able to hit it. 15 seconds left to play. Not able to get in to the briefcase. So now it's the side statue here. 5 seconds.
Are we going to swap this? It has a fingerprint, and we hit it.
Green! I don't think there's any shot that's going to be able to come from this.
There, right?
Maybe.
Who else are you shooting?
Apparently it's one of the twins, but it's not the right shot. And in one of the most dramatic fashions you're going to find, a 2-second left green fingerprint. Rob manages to go up by 2.
Yeah, so the reason we didn't get the briefcase fingerprint is we were busy dealing with the drink fingerprint. But Rob has the absolute state of mind not to panic, not to swap here, not to go to a different statue, not to go to middle statue and just run out of time on inspecting. Nope, he's going to go for the green fingerprint and hit it. If he misses the fingerprint here, I think there was probably still enough time to swap. But at the end of this party, Lev would have likely shot him. So Rob really clutching out what ended up being a bit of a spaghetti situation there right at the end. And that does result in Rob up 2-0.
Yeah, that was just a really fun spy game to watch from Rob for a few different reasons, but we've got 2 more on Ballroom to come because of the doubled nature of the set. So Lev back on the spy side of things, looking to get himself on the board against Rob's sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to find a completely unique feeling to... Okay, we're swapping.
That's a swap.
I was gonna say, I've never seen a game where like 3 prints right at the end. It's super interesting. The big question here with this particular game is, does Rob feel confident about their memory of the statues? So,
was Rob able to get a good look at that statue early on?
Yeah, Lev trying to heat seek it. He tried to body block it too, based on where his location of his body was, to make it really hard to see before he swapped it. Lev has taken a highlight. Rob might assume that the swap has happened, even if they didn't have a chance to memorize the statues. But good players, and especially like good campy players, which Rob is definitely in that camp, would try and memorize statues immediately to avoid this sort of issue.
And if you're not able to and you know someone's gotten there in time, lots of people will just credit the swap on this character but keep looking for it for the rest of the game as well for other characters. Lev does manage to get the contact off fairly nicely with 3 lowlights, and in a good position to get a lot of progress on this flirt too, with 34% already in the books.
Yeah, the interesting decision point here for Lev, there's 2 real ways to play this. We already have an inspect done.
Never mind! I think he had a pretty good idea about that swap after all.
Yeah. So we talked and then tried to immediately leave. It almost feels like we were trying to dodge the shot here, feeling it coming, but I'm not sure how we had so much heat. Simply maybe just the ambassador being nearby meant that we could have potentially gotten a bug, but I think Rav was just really onto the swap and didn't really show it as crazily as they could have. And you don't really want to be doing that. If you're playing against an opponent, especially in a high-stakes game, you don't want to be like highlighting and zooming in and doing all these things with the spy. You want to let the spy get themselves caught red-handed, take a game that you're 95% confident in, and make sure it gets to 100. So that's fantastic stuff from Rob. Very confident from Rob. And given that Rob is already up 3-0, Lev is going to need to somehow break that confidence if they're going to be making a comeback here.
Strong start from Rov indeed. It's 3-0 as Rob steps into the spy side of Ballroom one more time versus Lev's sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Okay, we're on Duke, who I have pinned as the most underrated character in the game. Duke's win rate is much higher, and I think it's related to his bug. But also, Duke could also do things like swap here. He's quite a large dude at the end of the day.
And a fairly speedy boy, too.
Yeah, he's not slow. We always get a bit surprised because the fastest character is actually our ambassador, Monopoly Man Taft, doing precisely what I said AI don't do and walking straight across Alice as I mentioned him. So everything has an exception, but I mean, same exception here. Ruff doesn't have a mission completion. Our seduction target's been messing about with briefcases, and we just haven't had a chance to get a flirt, and we haven't done anything else in the meantime.
Yeah, very, very stark style difference on the spy side between Rob and Lev. That's a purloin. That's a white purloin. He just took it.
Yeah, he just took it. He was offered. He's like, okay, if you say so, Toby.
Low light starting to come out though.
Yeah, and he's not even gulping, so there's no trying to hide it. Rob might be cognizant that there might have been like a reject chain. If a lot of people have been rejecting drinks, then you end up with a lot of potential suspects. But that, I think, might have also just been Rob saying, I'm feeling a bit behind here, despite it being quite early into the game, and I'm just going to click the button.
I am so curious as to what Lev's thought process is right now. Rav has gotten the purloin done, has gotten 34% on the flirt, and bailed from it very quickly afterwards, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this progresses. Yeah, we don't really have a requirement to finish.
So if Rob feels like it, they do have the option to try and trigger a civilian shot. Once we say banana bread, someone might simply die just because the list is gone. The banana bread's been said, that's 2 missions. Flirt is often assumed, that's 3 missions. And someone like our seduction target going to middle statues, if they're in conversation for banana bread, it's going to be hard to not shoot.
Yeah, it is. When there is a hard tell showing on a 4 of 8 venue, it is so hard to hold a shot.
I mean, that is also a good thing. It does also result, if Rob completes missions, they're more likely to get shot because they've done a visible hardtail. Even if Lev is not confident at all about who's done the purloin, it can go both ways. It's just now Rob has two different ways to win. They can complete by missions or civilian shooting, and that wasn't the case at the very beginning of the game.
So 36% on the flirt, a pair of inspects, a fingerprint, and the purloin. Lots and lots of progress, but only 25 seconds to actually get this stuff done.
Yeah, Rob having a few little issues there. Oh, I called it. She went to middle statues, the list was gone, Banana Bread said, and Lev just trying to find what her fourth mission would be. In this case, it's going to the bookcase next to somebody. It could be flirt, it could be a credit of something like fingerprint, but that action in itself is enough. Rob, one mission in pocket, still gets the win. You don't need to necessarily complete missions, and that's Rob 4-0 up.
Yeah, a little bit of an ugly game from the spy side, but sometimes just showing a mission and forcing a shot is all it takes, even if things go a little bit sideways after that. Doesn't always matter, as 4-0 is certainly not the start that Lev was looking for as we step into pub any 3 of 7. We've got Lev on the spy side looking to get themselves on the board versus Rov Sniper in 3, 2, 1 playing it.
Yeah, this is going to be a quick pace game because it's 2:30, but one thing to add, these picks, both the Ballroom and now the pub we're on, are both Rob's picks. With competitive formats, we sometimes see that the venues chosen go back and forth. So one player chooses the first and the second person chooses the next. With the way that this tournament has worked, it's just one player's picks and then the other. So if Rob is particularly more comfortable or favored on their own picks, and I mean they might be, they're showing currently up 4-0, they're sniping and their opponent hasn't done anything the first 30 seconds. We could see Rob feeling really comfortable moving into this pub and also their third pick.
This is an interesting strategy coming out of Lev, because Lev was moving really, really fast at the start of their first 2 spy games. Mm-hmm. And it didn't work out for them either time, so going the extreme opposite direction. Oh, that is just so unlucky. I'm so sorry, Lev.
So Lev, seeing everybody in conversation, seeing a double agent in one of those conversations, at least when they started the Banana Bread, goes and hits the button. Banana Bread is said, and we are the only person who's in a conversation with anybody who could be considered a double agent. We don't even have the mission completion done, because Sari is not the real double agent, she is just the suspected one. The real double agent is as far away from conversations and where we need them to be as possible.
That is so sad.
It is so sad. And it's so sad, especially because it's Lev who's having the bad fortune. We want to see more SpyParty, and if Lev's going to go down 5-0 here, there's a real risk that we won't get that much SpyParty to watch.
And Lev is very clearly trying to frame right now. Like, we have absolutely no mission progress done with 30 seconds left to play. We're into the beep beeps, and he hasn't done anything except for do a fake contact with a fake double agent that looked real.
Oh, this is not going to help. Both the double agents are at statues, actually. So this is just us talking to, say, Banana Bread.
Lev, I am so sorry.
1 time. Rov's laser just sits there hoping that something happens that they can shoot for. But you win either way. We've seen mission wins, we've seen civilian shots, we see spies be shot, and we've seen now timeouts. So Lev just rolls over. I mean, they did try. They were trying to get somebody shot with the Banana Breads, in addition to maybe someone who's been to statues and could be credited for seduce. But if you don't actually have any double agents in conversation, it's an anemic attempt.
Pretty incredible that we may just have seen the 2 most unfortunate fake contacts in the same game back to back.
Maybe. Lev's luck will turn around. Rov is playing what I call the worst character in the game. It's the character known as Disney, but I like to call him Big Hands because his hands make it impossible to get away with a good bug. It's Rav on Disney in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Time ad?
Time ad?
Yeah.
Yeah, time ad. All right, cool.
Do another
So
one,
that
do another
brings
one
us
for the
up to
fans?
3 minutes.
Okay. Sensible time ad there, Rav. He's not like going to the window and immediately leaving. He's just checking his watch like an AI would and wants a bit more time on the clock. And especially with the green test, it
And
seems like he's gone away with
immediately
it.
goes for the statue.
I love this sort of play where you do a time ad, the sniper might notice it and go, I'm expecting a slow game. Rob, not going to give a slow game. Not actually getting a highlight yet for the inspect. Did we get away with that?
I have concerns. It's possible we're using highlights to keep track of the bar.
Yeah, and
Banana bread.
Lev likely knows. No.
Oh,
you do
dear.
not. Thank you. Do
I
not
have
low light the guy
concerns.
who clearly has 2 missions in your face.
So we've done the inspect, we've done the contact, we've got one more to go, and we've got almost the entire game still to do it.
Yeah, seduction targets in about the worst place. They're going to leave this bar and we'll hope that they potentially come into our conversation. But really, anywhere outside, we'll take it. We can go meet them. Now with the time ad in pocket, we should be able to seduce in a way that's fairly subtle.
Or
This
we
is
can
an
just go
awkward
to the bar
distance.
and take the list and pretend the seduction target sent us over there, but this is a lot saner.
30% is pretty close. I think it could be considered what I call a Tobo percent. We're in a position where if we have a couple close flirts, but we're unable to hit a green Tobo, I believe that'll
I will
put
be
us
sad.
at an awkward 98%.
Yes, I will be very sad if we don't manage to hit one of these 2 greens. 30% is not what you want to see. But
Here we go.
it wasn't Rob's
Big one.
fault, importantly, and he saves it with a green test, which brings up to 81%, so everything is fine. As long as we don't do, like, the worst flirt in the game, everything is fine.
We could do a 17% flirt, but there's
We're
no
not
reason
going
why
to talk
Rob
about
can do that.
17% flirt.
While we're standing next to our seduction target, if our seduction target moves, as long as they're not doing something, okay. This is what Lev was trying to do. You say banana bread. A lot of people are in conversation. They've been talking to each other. They could have flirt, and then one of them goes to statue. These 2 players played a pretty similar game. Though Rob obviously doing a lot more, having a potential to win. But this is what happens on Snipercade. AI die sometimes, and it's not necessarily that the players played it very differently. It's just one of them had better luck, and unfortunately, it's the player who's now up 6-0.
Yeah, Lev is having a bit of a rough start to this match.
Yeah, to know, I mean, we have had comebacks of more than 6. Like, we've seen SCL games, the SpyParty Competitive League, go from 6-0 to 6-6 before. We've seen, like, 10-2 and resulting in, like, a 13-12 or something similar. That being said, Lev is going to need to play out better. They're going to need to be luckier, and they're going to need Rav to not snipe at the rate that they are. And Rav is one of the most consistently brutal snipers in the game statistically. So I wish him the best here. Courtyard's 4 of 7 isn't necessarily where you want to be either. But they're starting it off as twin if you want to count us in.
Rob, can you just not snipe? That would be great. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I think Lev could snipe Rob 6 times in a row. A fair percentage of the time. The concern I have here is at some point Lev will have to play as the spy. That includes right now. And is going to need to figure out a trick, right? So we tried 2 quick games. We tried a slow game, and I wouldn't mind another slow game, given that the slow game that we had was so incredibly unfortunate, it doesn't really count.
What if we just did a regular old medium speed game?
Fingerprints. Fingerprints are a perfect way to do a medium speed game, and we're doing it with the briefcase here. It's not difficult or anything, we just get the print, and probably also get the credit. Given
And
Rob.
getting a nice early print off is a very underrated maneuver on this venue, because having another option late in the game can be really, really big.
Yeah, one of the differences between Courtyard and other venues is just the lack of bookcases, which obviously means no microfilm, but also a more subtle thing, there aren't going to be book prints, so there's just one less way for the ambassador to get all Cheeto-y over everything, like we saw in that Ballroom game. What we really want is for the ambassador to go to statues, because then we can get inspect, which we're expecting to do anyways, and our fingerprints. LEV's camera has gone wild. They are not happy about this game, probably this whole set, probably life in general. Now they're just flirting with the other twin, but this twin isn't going to selection target.
Banana bread.
Okay, contact's
That
done
was
and we're
a
failing.
very unusual contact, and it happened off screen. Into the statues now we go for our pair of inspects, but we're not going to be able to get a fingerprint while we're here. We
Yeah,
do
the
have
important-
34% on the flirt, though.
Yeah, we do a nice little split, a good play. Rob highlights us. Unfortunate.
Quite possibly the highlight was for the statue visit and not for the banana split, but who's to say at this point? 1 minute left to play as we step into another visit to the statues to pick up the second flirt of the game. Another white, luckily fairly close. We're up to 68%, so as long as we get nice and snuggly in the last one, there shouldn't be any issues.
Yeah, the ambassador is suspiciously holding a drink. I think there might have been a fingerprint while we were at statues.
Well, let's see if we can pick up the pieces of it. It does not look like we can.
I think Lev was in that same spot that I was, where they're kind of just hoping, not necessarily knowing. The briefcase, and it's an ankle shot too. Ugh. I hate ankle shots because it just means the sniper's so confident that they don't want to like rush the shot. They don't want to like shoot over your shoulder and accidentally shoot somebody else. They are just waiting for you to go pick up that briefcase and give them a reason to murder you.
So it looked like there was, in fact, a print on that drink, but he died while... No, I don't... Sorry, no,
the
I
log doesn't
misread
show
that.
it
There
as
was no
fingerprint
print on that
drink.
drink. That drink was printless.
Yeah, the briefcase definitely did though. So we're trying to do 2 briefcases to complete our fingerprints here at the end of the game. We still have to do a flirt, by the way, but 2 briefcases is about as unsubtle as completing a fingerprint goes. Because anytime that somebody picks up a briefcase, most snipers aren't heavily cognizant on if it has a clean fingerprint, a dirty fingerprint, or even like no fingerprint at all if the ambassador's not ever actually touching the briefcase again. So picking up 2 briefcases just looks like a spy.
Yeah, it's not good. Don't do that.
I just went back through the replay, so it looks like Ambassador takes the drink, Queen gets the clean fingerprint, and I believe Alice, takes the... Oh no, Alice rejects. Okay. One of the twins takes the remaining smudges of the fingerprint.
Either way, I mean, taking the drink there wasn't going to be our demise. It did give us an excuse to go pick up the briefcase. Our demise is that Rob is a very good sniper and doesn't want you to complete inspects plus fingerprint on Courtyard, which is reasonable. That's how you win Courtyard. So now we get to see Rob potentially win on Courtyard as a general. 7-0 up. Did not expect this from this match. Let's get it started. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Lev's demise is Rov is a very accurate description of this set so far.
So we're doing the same thing that we saw in the last game, flirting at statues. It's just Rob's getting it done at 3 minutes left on the clock, and swapping.
And hitting a green test on the former. So we'll see what happens with the swap.
Surely,
I
Lev is
can't
gonna
help
take a
but
few
notice
lowlights
that
here.
Rov is still alive.
Yeah, so Lev is in a good spot here to get their first win. They've seen a swap, they've reacted to it fairly appropriately, though please don't take us down from a highlight, with a couple of low lights. And the biggest concern here is Rob has already got 3 missions done. If Banana Bread is said, Lev needs to be ready to shoot, and shoot particularly the guy with the green arrow above their head, General.
I honestly don't know that Lev has that good a handle on this swap. Here
Nice little
we
pass
go.
here.
Here's the double agent. We've got the swap. We've got the inspect. We've got the 2 flirt. Here we go.
If we say banana bread, I think
Banana bread.
Alice is another
There it
highlight
is.
in conversation, but it needs to be a shot now. Lev needs to
There's no
acknowledge
shot.
this. 4 seconds.
Oh
Wow.
dear.
Just Rov having these like tempered starts. He's been starting off with flirt, sometimes a contact. We have seen every time that he has subverted that formula, done a purloin, or in this case the swap, it's also worked. We don't usually see this many spy wins, and especially at such a high level, and especially in this like semifinals of the Winter Cup. I said at the beginning, Rov is the favorite going into this match, but he's not an 8-0 favorite. This is a lot of misfortune, as we've said, for Lev, but it's also a bit of a collapse. Like, you can't be losing to early game swaps. We've seen Rov win an early game swap game, and we saw Lev drop one. That's why Rov is winning this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Lev, I think at this point, has probably mentally checked out a little bit. It is really, really difficult to stay in a match that looks like this one looks.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Anyways?
it's possible. They need to win every single game.
All of them, yes.
All of them.
All
They
of
can
them.
have a little break in overtime if they can win 8 in a row. They don't necessarily need to win 10 games in a row. They can tie in overtime, but yeah, they just need to win all the games, and
Yeah,
they need to do it here now. As
just all of them.
yeah, exactly. Easy
Lev-
enough task.
On the spy, in the Shark Tank, in 3, 2, 1, playing it. That's a failed
bug?
walking bug.
Bug?
That's another failed walking. Oh dear.
I feel like this is a move that I have done more than anybody.
Oh dear.
Where you just hope, you dream, it doesn't happen, but you continue doing it. Rob, the gentleman that he is, will just end the suffering. And that's Rob winning semifinals of Winter Cup, going to the final here, potentially against either Opie Wrights or Legorv Janine, but doing so in dominant fashion, 9-0. Lev will potentially still get like a third place match. I'm not 100% sure on what they're doing, but I don't want them to ruin their whole tournament. They made the semifinals. That's definitely the furthest they've been in any sort of like big tournament like this, and it is definitely a big tournament in the
Top
context of
4 in the Winter Cup is a serious result, no matter how that result came about.
And really, I think the last few games here on Courtyard, and particularly this Aquarium game, the difference between 9-0 or 9-5, 9-3, it doesn't change much. Roth was in a dominant position, and you weren't necessarily expected to make a comeback. I don't want Lev to feel particularly bad about their performance, because they also had some atrocious fortune.
Very much so, yeah. Apparently, Rob is saying that Lev also had some frame rate issues this match.
I mean,
which
good
certainly
for him
does not help.
champing through it. Yeah, it's an international committee. Both these players, as far as I know, are European, so they're not necessarily as far away from each other, but it happens, and that he honored and continued to play through it is honorable, though definitely not helpful for your gameplay. Hopefully, though, as we move into our next match, Opie Wrights versus Legorv, we have a closer match. I'm showing we're offline, though.
Looks fine to me.
I think my stream might have died. Whatever, continue, I'll refresh. So yeah,
Yes.
now I'm good. Yeah, Rob is
don't
British.
scare me, man.
Genuinely, my system crashed. So
Oh,
that's
okay.